thank you for the day. Thank you for your blessings, for your direction in our lives. We ask that you be in all that we do around this table this morning, and we pray your continued blessings on Covington County. Amen.
Amen.
Join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have no public hearing scheduled this morning, nor scheduled public comment. No awards and presentations, but we do have some elected officials here, and we'd be glad to recognize you at this time and ask if there are any comments. Judge, what about you? You have anything you want to share?
We need to talk about some voting machines, but I think that's on the
All right, we'll get to that in just a little bit, and you can take that time to cover other areas as well. Mr. Patterson, you have anything you want to touch on this morning?
We're just working really hard to get the last 100 parcels of land collected, and we do that, we'll be in good shape.
Good.
Y'all, May 19th at 10 o'clock, we'll sell them.
Okay, May 19th.
Yes, sir.
Sell at,
And we don't want to
on
sell
the
them
courthouse
until
steps.
maybe we'll find them all.
Okay, good. Sheriff, you have anything at this time, or come in later? All right. Thank y'all for your attendance today. We appreciate you being here, appreciate the others of you and your interest in the business of our county and the commission. Commissioners, the next item on the agenda is the under the consent agenda, and you have the minutes from the April 27th meeting that you've had access to and had a chance to review, and also the accounts payable and payroll for April. And we'll ask if there are any changes or corrections to those, or if there are none, a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Mr. Worthy, second. Anybody else have a correction you want to note? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that's approved. We have nothing carried forward under old business at this time. Move on to new business, and here we'll talk about considering approval for upgrading to our ballot machines, voting machines. Judge, if you will, would ask you to come forward and give us input on this and help us understand what our options are.
Well, you know, we're required by law to provide assistance to voters with disabilities. Right now, we have auto marks, and they're about 15 years old, and Kevin takes care of those. If something breaks down, something happens, he handles those. Those machines are no longer made. So if something happens, they have to basically get a part from an old machine somewhere else. If that were to happen on an election day, that would be devastating. We do have some extras that we can pull in, and I will say that has not happened since I've been in office. What I have received is a proposal from the Secretary of State's office. They want us to upgrade to express votes. The total cost for 28 new machines is $70,000. They will subsidize that, and we would pay the rest with our HAVA funds. It's money that we receive for it's the Help America Vote Act. We have approximately $39,000 of that money. We would use that money to purchase the machines, and the Secretary of State's office would do the rest. So there would be no upfront cost. Where y'all come in is, you know, there's always maintenance contracts. There's always, with these new computerized equipments, there's cost to keep them going. The maintenance contract would be $4,550 a year, and it's a 4-year contract. That would have to come from the county commission.
4 years.
4 years. It's a
Is
4-year
that a
contract.
reimbursable cost under the voting?
I have not checked with anyone at the state. I spoke with Karen, and our opinion is because it's a maintenance cost, that it's not a reimbursable election expense.
Okay.
They tell me.
That annual cost is per year, not tied to elections?
No, it would be per year. They tell me that the newer machines are smaller, they need less storage space, they weigh less, they're 25 pounds versus 70 pounds. There's no ink cartridges that have to be replaced, and it's just, they work off a thumb drive, so it's new technology. It's bringing us to where we need to be. It's just the issue is the maintenance cost.
What after the 4 years?
We could renegotiate it. We'd have to pick up with a new contract then. Mhm.
But that's a
Probably
4 year.
obsolete after 4 years. Probably.
I hope
Yeah,
not.
probably so.
I hope not. These auto marks have lasted for about 15. But
Did we get those new? Or do they
That
come
was,
this
I
year?
don't know, that is before my time. I know that, I think the county owns them. And we would trade those in, ES&S would take those, I'm sure to use for the other counties that don't do this for the parks, but we would trade those in, get the new machines. It would be 28 new machines, that's one for each actual precinct, one for the, absentee election, and then we would have 2 spare.
Page 32 on y'all's paper, in your packets, shows the breakdown of the cost. Including the trade-in.
You got, email last week about the coronavirus money for voting?
No, I have not received that,
Okay.
I- no. I haven't seen anything, and I don't know if this is something that can be paid for, the maintenance costs with the coronavirus money.
I read just, I didn't read it all, it doesn't have anything to do with me, but I'll just try
Can
to
you forward
find
it?
it and send it to you, because there is money trying to do it a little different for spacing and everything like that.
Well, that, and that would be great if that was something that we could use for this, but that might be like limited to the precincts and trying to space everybody out. and-
I didn't read it all, but
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you. They,
Right, can I ask Stacy one
Yes.
question? Eric in the back, with this being brand new product,
Mhm.
they don't give you some kind of upfront warranty or some kind of maintenance warranty for like a year or 2 years where you don't have to?
you get the first year, that's included when you purchase it. And it has, it's not a brand new piece of equipment, it has been used in
Okay.
several counties.
I see.
The majority of the counties are still on the automarks, because it's a money issue. But, so they told me that they've had one of these machines at the Alabama Institute for the Deaf and the Blind for several years, so that the people there could use them. They actually have an automark and one of these express votes there.
It's a market.
Is, on 32, is this the
Yes.
amount
Yes,
for the?
$4,550.
That's what you're asking the commission to approve?
We have an obligation to provide this in each of our precincts. The 4550, I guess, is based on our current number of precincts.
It is, it's based on the 28 machines, and there's a breakdown, y'all might have the breakdown of how much, I think it tells you how much it is per machine for the maintenance cost.
How many do you have, for instance, at the Andalusia precinct?
One.
Okay.
One. And I'm not, Kevin could speak to it more, and I don't
He's not
see him here, but, I don't know how often, just to be completely open with y'all, I don't know how often these machines actually get used. I just know that we have an obligation to have
We
them
have to.
there, and it's not a voting machine, they don't actually vote on it. It reads the ballot and it helps mark the ballot, and then they take the ballot and they put it in the voting machine that counts the
The
ballots.
same one that everyone else uses?
Yes, yes.
It used to have an issue with ink cartridges
Mhm.
drying up, and Kevin had to reorder ink
Yeah.
cartridges because it was only valid for one time, so that was an expense that we've had all along.
And these do not have ink cartridges. The new express votes do not have ink cartridges.
We're gonna have to back up, cause you lost me. Kevin.
What's the question? How often are the automarks used?
Very
Do-
seldom.
Yeah.
We have probably 10 to 15 people in Covington County that really rely on it, and there are a couple in Opp, a couple in Andalusia, one in Horn Hill. But there are some voting precincts, we've had these things in for 12 to 15 years that have never been used at the precinct. But we were mandated by the federal government to have a machine, the automark machine, in each precinct for handicap accessibility. We also, don't we pay a maintenance cost for the automarks now?
There is I don't think it's for automarks, I think it's the new poll
It's the
books that we
poll
had to
pads.
maintenance.
Carrie,
on that.
cause I thought you just took care of the automarks.
Well, I do in essence, but I
Mhm.
believe that you sent me a letter right after you came in office,
Mhm.
I'm not sure, about a maintenance agreement we had to have on the automarks.
Now, we did use HAVA funds to purchase a maintenance agreement that was several years ago, probably about 4 years ago.
I think so, and
Yeah.
I believe we have always had a maintenance contract on the automarks because we own those. Now, the other machines, the voting machines themselves,
Right.
we don't own those. ES&S owns those, and they're kind of in my
Leased.
custody, you might say, and we take care of them. But we're charged from ES&S when we use those things, if I'm not mistaken. We're just charged per election, and they just stay here, and we have to keep them and take care of them. But I think we do pay a maintenance contract now
We've done that, I think, one time since I've been in office. We use some of these HAVA funds because there's restrictions on how the HAVA funds can be spent.
Well, that was my question. You mentioned that evidently we have about 39,000 HAVA
We do.
funds. Secretary of State's gonna provide 39,000, make the total purchase of 78.
They're going, well, we have 39,000 in HAVA funds, and they're gonna provide around 30,000 to have the total 70,000 purchase price.
And they're
I thought
giving
you said
us,
78 purchase price, no,
No, 70.
70, okay.
28 machines.
they're giving us a trade-in of, what, 32?
Do we get
Mhm.
additional HAVA funds periodically, or was that a
No.
one-time and we're just using
No.
them
It's
up?
been using,
We've been just using it a little long, it's just been sitting there. We've just kinda held on to it in case, like with the maintenance for the Automarks.
So the key really, I mean, we do have an obligation, whether we wanna upgrade or continue with what we have that's
Mhm.
15 years old or whatever. Wanna make a commitment of 4550 per year and possibly be able to pay that out of COVID funds. I certainly would look at that, but otherwise I think we have an obligation to provide these, and this is probably as good a time as any when we can get half of the cost covered from Secretary of State's office.
Well, there's no out-of-pocket up front, and $70,000 is a lot of money.
By the time you look at buying the ink cartridges and everything for the other ones over a period of time, I don't know how much they'd be, but
The
They
ink
used to
cartridges
go-
have actually been upgraded, and they say we won't have to buy any more for them. But I would agree that probably this is the time to do it. You know, we might could stretch these other ones out a couple of years, but then we may have to pay the full cost. So,
How many Automarks do we have? Is it 28?
we have two extra ones. We have one per precinct and two
Two extra. And that's what this proposal is for, one for precinct and two spare.
That's what if we had, like, make sure we had an extra one. Or two. One of those things that,
I'll tell you, my fear is that when we start getting ready for an election and Kevin goes in there and turns them all on and he tests all of it, he makes sure everything's working, that if they're not working or something's wrong, we can't get a party in a day or two to get it ready, to have it ready for the election. And y'all know how people view elections these days. I mean, we're very blessed in Covington County. Kevin does a great job, my staff does a great job. We have good, honest, well-run elections, because they all work really hard to make sure that it's done the way it's supposed to be done. One bad election would make us all look bad. That's my fear.
And the machines we have are in very good condition. I've never had a problem with any of them. But that's not to say that they don't need upgrading because they're 15 years old. They still got the original batteries in them. Now, you know,
Is it an electronic machine
It
that,
is.
or is it computer driven, or what?
it's got some photo eyes. It is computer driven. It's all computerized, but it pretty much just marks the ballot for someone. You take a blank ballot and insert it, and it turns it into a touch screen. It's also got Braille, where you can actually listen and you can use Braille, keypads to actually mark the ballot. But just like she says, the ballot's still gotta go into a election counter machine. But it's been very helpful for people that have bad eyesight. It's very helpful for people that some people make several mistakes, so they can't mark clearly, and using the Automark machine, once they use it, they love it, because you can't really make a mistake with it.
Other questions?
I
Comments?
think I'm answered now.
All right, well,
Well, and
Entertain-
just, I would like to point out, and I think y'all have the same thing that I received. The maintenance cost for the express vote is $162.50 per unit. The maintenance cost for the Automark was $203 per unit, so it is a little bit less expensive. I'm still not 100% clear where we are on the maintenance contract with the,
I do remember that. It
We were
was a-
required to have it. I believe you sent me and maybe Karen an email that we were required to have it.
and I remember doing that
But it was
several
a
years ago.
one-time
It
thing,
was
I
a
think. I
one-time
don't think
thing.
we're not annually paying
No.
a renewal on it, so it must be.
Because I remember checking on that a year or two after that went through, and I knew we had you to work on.
Yeah, I've worked on them, but I've done very little to them. I've changed a
Yeah.
couple of little parts, but they've been very good machines.
so you've heard the presentation. If there are no other questions, we certainly would entertain a motion to enter this contract for these machines. utilizing the HAVA funds, utilizing the Secretary of State's committed funds, and, from the general fund, a commitment of $4,550 per year for maintenance,
For 4 years.
for a four-year term. Yeah.
I make a motion, we proceed.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Any other thoughts or comments on this? None of us like to spend money, do we, Sheriff? That's just where we are, but I think we have to do this. So there's a motion, second. If there's nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that's taken care of.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Next is consider a request to solicit bids for a local line base for the engineering department. Ms. Karen, do you have details on that?
This is an annual bid, and it's time to renew for the local line base, and they're just asking for permission to solicit those bids.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
No, second.
Motion and second has been made to solicit bids for local line base and materials for, primarily for dirt road maintenance. If there's nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that request is approved, and we'll get those bids out. And next is consider reimbursement for the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff, I don't know if you want to address this or let Karen start, and then we'll call you up as we get into it. Karen, what do you have?
Okay, anytime, anyone travels outside of the state, for any reason, training or something such as that, they're supposed to get pre-approval. And I believe that's something where we may have failed in, letting the Sheriff's Department know that this is a requirement in order to get these expenses approved. And so we have a couple of different training courses that they have attended over the last few months that we need to get approval for the travel on these. There was a trip for a school resource officer to attend a training in Texas, I believe. There was two of the officers attended a training in Florida, and then the sheriff attended a training in Tennessee. And this is approving the travel, therefore approving the expenses that are related to this travel. And you have all that in your
I
packet.
know there were several days, the events were several days, 2 and 3 day events. I scanned the expenses before the meeting started, and other than just ratifying this after the fact, it's normal, it looks like.
Yes, they have money in their budget for this registration and travel expenses. It's just a matter of procedures.
All right, so what we'd like to have is a motion to ratify the travel and then approve reimbursement, payment of the expenses or reimbursement of expenses in the budget.
But this is ratifying, correct? I mean, we're
It's
going.
after the fact, we're going backwards, yep. I like those tires we've been buying the last few months. Wow. Tired of looking backwards, but that is correct.
And I've spoken with the sheriff, the chief deputy, and the secretary, and they're all now aware, so it should be something that we'll have advance notice from here on.
Yeah, it's not a law, it's a policy the commission has operated under for a long, long time, that any out-of-state travel is primarily,
With the exception of prisoner transport.
with the exception of prisoner transport, but it's primarily to make the public aware if there's travel involved, because if you get commissioners, other elected officials involved in travel around the nation for meetings and so forth, that really it's to be transparent in that regard. It just kind of catches us on other things like this training and so forth, so still not a bad policy that the commission adopted many years ago. So,
I'll make the motion.
all right, motion? Is there a
Second.
Second to ratify the travel and approve the expenses. Anything else? Questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, that is approved. Sheriff, do you have anything else at all? Okay, all right.
That's all I have.
All right. That's fine. All right, thank you. Reports from staff. You may have anything for us, Ms. Susan? All right.
June first starts hurricane season, so
Mm.
be prepared. Today, we're doing a statewide hurricane exercise. It's just the EMA office is participating in this, in the county, but I wanted to remind each one of you, next Tuesday, the 18th, we're having our local hurricane exercise. I sent you a save the date email a couple of weeks ago, but I'll send you another one so you'll have it right there. What this is going to be, we're gonna have it here in the commission chambers. It's just a small group that's going to participate, but it's going to show you guys what happens during a major event, what your roles will be, how we can use you, how we need you to participate. And it's the engineer's office, sheriff's department, EMA, 911, and our VOAD, and it's just all of us working together, making sure we're on the same page. So, if all possible, I would like for you to be here. Friday, we received approval for the 3 hazard mitigation grants that I brought to you, I think, the last time, which is the Frank Tisdale Bridge and the bridge on Bushall Road. Both of those were approved, so I'll be working with the engineer's office to get that grant started and make sure we move forward on that. And that's all I had, now, unless you had some questions for me.
Yeah. What time did you say the training
9.
is? Okay.
We should be out, but it just depends on how much y'all participate and others participate, but an hour, 2 at the most. But we're gonna actually show you what goes on in the EOC through, the calls coming in and how the engineer's office and the sheriff's department works together and EMA. So we're gonna show you and then also tell you how things work so you can be prepared.
Good. Any questions for Susan? Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
We appreciate what you guys do. Any other, staff have a report?
I have one on the arena. We have a couple of busy weekends coming up, starting on May the 21st. We're having a horse sale, followed by the following weekend a quarter horse event. Next weekend will be a high school rodeo association group meeting, and then the following weekend is a junior high rodeo. So we've got a busy few weeks at the arena coming up.
Okay, good.
That was good.
That first weekend in June, Covington County has 2 groups, I know in team roping, that can go to the nationals.
Hmm.
One of them's my son.
Okay,
So,
good.
Covington County's represented.
Good.
Probably some other categories too, but that's all.
That's one you know about, isn't it?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Man, excuse me. No. Commissioners, y'all have anything you wanna report on?
We getting some complaints about the bush hogging, but I mean, we're working hard as we can on it, you know. And I tell some of the people that complain, I said, you know, this time of the year, we have these wild weeds that grows and they just shoot up overnight, you know, and you know, you can cut them, but I mean, we're working to get them and we can spray, but it just seemed like they just pop up overnight and they're 3 or 4, you know, 2 or 3 foot tall, and it just, yeah, it's a nuisance, but we're working and we still got road graders and we're still grading when we can, but not this week. You know, it's gonna rain all week, it's kinda hard to grade a road when it's raining, so we're working all we can and doing what we can while we can, but be patient.
Exactly, and be patient about like the lime rock. Well, I know they've been having some trouble getting it, and I know that's a big issue in some of our districts with having to need some lime rock, but I know Lyndon's been having some trouble, so just be patient. It's coming. I think me and Tony was talking about it earlier, some of the pits were full of water, so it's hard for them to get it right now, so y'all just be patient, it's coming.
Anyone else? Steph?
Don't have anything.
All right, if there is nothing else, we will stand adjourned.